the purpose of the book, it says $1 billion children by 18. The moral of the story. How do everybody wants their kids to be, they want their kids to have everything. Most parents will sacrifice to give their kids the best life. But sometimes we put value in not seeing benefits of finance. We see benefits in being norms to a certain social behavior that right now is not acceptable into having a financially savvy, educated, and moral child to become an adult. You may have instilled every kind of moral in your child, but without personal finance, the understanding of the benefits of personal finance, of what role they play in what profession. A waitress or waiter, a teller at the bank, a pizza delivery person still can be satisfied morally with their personal finance situation, even though they want more, or they may be happy in their role. But being a millionaire does not make you happy. It does not make our society automatically successful. Becoming a millionaire does not. It's the actions surrounding that. And when that person becomes a millionaire, what value they see impacts the same value as the person that makes $10,000 a year. Even though they may have a lot more money, the value of what they have is in dollars, not cents. I'm not making a pun, but common sense, in the sense of what it takes when you have a certain income level to be happy. And when you become wealthier, it makes the responsibility is a little bit different, and it's that you have to balance between your wealth, securing your wealth, because you become wealthy, you don't want to lose your wealth, and no one should deter anyone in our society from becoming rich. But when you become wealthy, you don't extract from the people under you and make them suffer for your benefit. And when you're not wealthy, you have to learn that actions and value is created within yourself. Creation of value is not conforming to the behavior of society that is failing our kids right now. So the moral of the story: you want to have $1 million child, you have to put $1,636 away, $1,636 for 216 months. Let's go back there. That's 18 years at 10% interest rate. Earlier the better. So we're talking about dollar bills here. We're not talking about, that's it. We're talking about money. We're talking about actual, if we look at it in today's standards, and we're going to have to incorporate some of the past with some of the future, and a dollar is not going to be the only value. If you use money as your only value in assessing the norms, or a score or something, and you don't consider the person, society will reset itself. And how it resets itself is now up to this generation here, all of us, even with our own problems. We have to, because the Depression era generation had many problems, but they made our lives a lot better. I know mine did. My grandparents did. They put in the effort to build a platform to encourage their kids to become whatever they wanted, and they could not achieve that because of their own restraints of not having education, not being able to go back in time and do certain things. So, and that's what we have to do today. We have to put us aside, and we got to leave something, because one day somebody's going to pay the price for what the debts and all that we've accumulated in all of our actions. We've all accepted this debtor society. So we have to save the earlier for the better for our kids. We to do that before, and then we were talking about this starts to book off. You have to think about when you were 18 and walking out of your graduation, if you graduated, or being 18 and becoming an adult and not graduated high school. What would made you stay in school? What would have benefited you a lot more? And you know, with the benefits of education and a career and a great family, it was still not. I didn't understand personal finance, and I was a banker. I didn't understand the morals behind it. But my grandfather told me story after story when I was a child, and when I was sick for a long period of time, those stories came back to me, and it helped me start writing this book. Now, these slides I'm showing you, these are test slides. This is not the presentation, because the presentation part is a little more detailed and a little less formal. Before kids, preparation, planning, and practicing. If you're planning on marrying someone, or you're planning on being a partner with somebody, the day you decide that you have a kid, I mean, you have to look. We don't know how many. We don't know biologically what our body can do. But if you are planning to have a child, and planning to have a child, and that child, or two children, or three, you need to open an account. If you're able to get a checking account, some people will read this and say, I don't even have a checking account. Well, that's in the book. It will also give you resources through our nonprofit to help you set up some of this stuff that we can't. We're trying, anything we do with Donnie Wise and Associates LLC, Finance Dynamic, and the nonprofit, which will be Kelly's Hope, based out of California, the nonprofit will be to work to give access to financial resources that are not available. I mean, some people the book costs money. I mean, you got the videos, podcasting, all that costs money, and that it has to be paid for, and that paying for that means that some people can't afford it. So we will make these resources available to everyone we can, and we'll help you if you don't have the resources. We're not giving away to give away. We're giving the tools to people and saying, if you meet these goals, we will help you again in another way. Meet the goals in another way. So to start off the book, I talk about being 18, what would have made some changes, was different than my parents didn't know how to teach personal finance. They didn't have the tools. When my dad started his company, he had a community banker. The community banker at that time played the financial educator to these people, to these entrepreneurs, to these people wanting to buy homes. They waited for you to come in. They were not except for that one representative, and he was part of the community. Now, we can't go back today's society. It's hard to have that community banker, but you can have a bank or a middle person or a group of people that will be that platform. So the entrepreneurial wise, you could still do that, but my parents didn't learn much. I mean, basically in America, personal finance and business finance is tribal knowledge. So if you're a Generation X person, if you're 40 something like I am, you're instilled with behaviors that are hard to break. So you have to change your behavior before having kids. Even if you're 40 some years old and you still want a child, or you're 20 something. If I was having children, or if I had children, and the reason, with somebody who doesn't have kids, why write a book like this, is because I worked in banking. I know when I was 18 what I would have liked my parents to have done a little different that they couldn't, and what I would do different if I had the opportunity at 18. And So one of the things my family did instill for even though to meet the challenges of my adult life is that they gave me a better life than what they had or ever experienced. My parents, my grandparents, they didn't have the childhood I did. So if they gave that to me, and I hear my friends, all of them, even the people with higher incomes, have some sort of financial issue that they are scared or cannot deal with. And it is from student loans. I've even had one that had an improper foreclosure done on their home, to having to get rid of property during the crisis. It's on their credit report. It's just numerous, and they have children, and they are worried about how these children are going to make it. So, first thing you do if you're planning to have a family, and I'm introducing this because starts out the first volume of the 5-volume multimedia book. You open an account, deposit $25. It's going to have to be in your name, but you can assign a name to the account, and you look for a bank that's not going to charge you any fees. You may have to go online. You may have to open you may have to open like an online account that does not charge fees. You may have to if you have an account with your bank, they sometimes give you a second account free. You have to do the research. I would open a $25 account, and I would start making monthly deposits. If it was 3 years down the road, I was going to have a child, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Account in the parent's name with designation. Because when the child's born and assigned Social Security number, on the book we go to 2 years of age, because 2 years of age there's a transformation of your child. They start becoming aware, and more resources have to go to their care. So you want to, during this time of people giving you things, and you maybe earning extra money, and having, when you have a child too, it does take your time. But the resources to take care of a 2-year-old, they're becoming aware, has to be diverted a little bit from their savings to start teaching the kids. And you want to be as ready by 2 years of age if you can. If you're in a situation where wealth is going to be more when they're 2, then you look at 2 to 5 to really stash away. But here you do have opportunities. Change of behavior for parents. This is the big thing. When a kid becomes 18 and they have the knowledge how to manage what credit is and how to save money, and they know about how businesses work, the finance, they may never own a business, but they know that when they are 18, they know how to make decisions. If they've not saved one dime, if they have the knowledge of how to pay for that financial education they want for college, if they know that there's grants out there that's available, if they say, well, I need to wait 2 years and work, even with $0, that's $1 million right there in value, because we're not giving a debt for a degree anymore. But you as a parent must change your behavior now. Change against society. You're going to go against society norms if you do this. But going against society provides your children with a chance to be financially knowledgeable, aware, educated, and probably wealthy. Maybe wealthy in their savings. Most teenagers today, I had to work in tobacco. I had to work on the farm. The money, I'd say just a portion of that money, I still would have been wealthy even after my sickness. And that's what you're trying to do here. Prepare them for life events. And you have to change your behaviors first. So if you're planning a family, you usually have a wedding, buy a home or expansion of your current home, baby shower, bonus gift, birthday parties, and luxury. Now we're going to 2 years of age. That's why I included birthday parties. The average wedding in America is $30,000. $30,000. Let's go back to the weddings. $30,000 we spend in America. In Manhattan, it's $97,000 on average. WeTV has the lower income people showing all this money spent in their wedding. If you're going to have a wedding and spend $30,000, $3,000 of that needs to be diverted into your child savings account. This is your day. This is your day. But your wedding dress, your tuxedo, your bang of a reception will not change when you hit retirement and you have a kid that has grown into an adult and cannot make it because they hit some financial stumbling blocks early in life that they shouldn't have. And you prepare them to become personally responsible in doing this. You want to become a super parent? You can buy them all. You can compete with the Joneses next door. It doesn't change their adulthood. It does not show them that they are valued. It shows that if they act a certain way or if they complain, they get rewarded. So expansions or purchases of home. If you're making anything to deal with luxury, I'm telling you, buying a home that is accommodating for a future family. I say if it's a needs-based, you have to look. If your expansion includes a jacuzzi or hot tub or a little pool, that's luxury. And your home to fit a child and the necessities is one thing. But anything that's a wedding, I say 10 to 15% has to go. It's a tax. You tax yourself. Come here. You tax yourself. So the expansion of home, baby showers, expensive this day and time. In a baby shower, one thing the book tells about, you need to have it ready so people can put bonds as baby shower gifts. That there's an account open that can make a deposit, and you have to explain to people in the baby shower that financial security is a part of the baby shower, not just gifts that will only last for a certain amount of time. If people do not feel comfortable in that, then that's it, it makes you feel bad. That does not matter. It does not matter what they think. It does not, because if you make an agreement as a young parent not to touch that money, that you can make it 2 years of age, even in an emergency. I mean, we have emergencies happen. This is like a retirement account. If you were to dip in, you borrow against it, but you don't. But that is not what this is supposed to be. This emergency money is for your children. You have to put emergency funds aside too for yourself. This commitment is beyond an emergency account that the parent could go raid when a tragedy happens. Now, if your child becomes sick, that's a different story, and it needs it for health care purposes. But because you're running short on cash and need to pay your cable bill, this is not the commitment that the book asks. We're asking that a baby shower, tell them that I have an account, put some cash in it, and you guarantee somehow restriction, dual signing on the account, not to withdraw money out of that account. If the baby's born, you could transfer it over to each state has a different minors account at a bank that is a savings account, and you can transfer the money into there at that time. There's no interest penalties, no taxation, and it's protected under the UTMA, for the minors account law, and it's per state that the guidelines are you can put savings in for your minor children. So as soon as they get a Social Security number, and you can say, I can send you a receipt of that account being open, or this and that and the other. There's ways to really prove that. If somebody complains to you about it, tell them that that it should not bother you, that's the way it is, and if they want to give a regular gift, that's fine. But that if you get luxury items, there's still a tax on it. And you're taxing yourself for your kids because at 2 years of age, you start the transition. These thousands of dollars that we spend on these birthday parties for our children, hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars, luxury parties, either they have to go, you have to curb those, or you have to tax those too. You go spend $2,500, then you need to put $250 for your child's first birthday party. Some people do. You need to put 10 to 15% in the savings account, or in that, which would now be a savings account by the time your child's born. And I want to clarify this: when you open an account first, if you open a savings, you can open a checking or savings with a designation. But you want a free account, so it's probably going to be a checking account. When they're born, when child's born and the Social Security number, you will transfer it over to the regular savings. That's what the law allows at this time. And one of the things that we're working on is developing an account for kids that works under the current law and the current programs, because we're with the way legislation is working in Congress, there's no way you're going to pass something that's really going to be revolutionary for you to save money for your children at this time, other than what's in place, the 529 for college and the minors account. Luxury, and I didn't capitalize the U, but luxury items. If you buy in your earlier the midlife crisis, you did like I did and bought not a brand new BMW, but it was a rare BMW, and I probably shouldn't have bought it at the time. I mean, was making income to afford it, but I think about now that I would not drive a BMW anymore. It is nice to have, but they're expensive cars, and I want to do other things. I want to help people. I want to live a life because I want to give a gift that was given to me to the next generation coming up. I want to teach our kids that we made a commitment, and you made a commitment in changing your behaviors. You got to think about everything you buy before and after that child's born. It's got to be, if you're going to buy name brand everything for the child and they're going to grow out of it in a year, you want quality at reasonable prices. If your income affords it, then that's another thing. That's something you really have to think about. If you are someone that is looking at this and has been on WeTV, or you are lower income and you have spent tens of thousands of dollars, and then you come on Dr. Phil and you are complaining over these wedding expenses just draining your family dry, there's something not right here. We're not. It's not about us right now. It is. But you have a next generation that's coming up. Generation Next. So Mint says, I think I went too far here. Try this again. Before kids, prepare for 18 every day. D-Day children, future life D-Day becoming $1 million parent. Becoming a super parent may not be realized to your kids till they turn 30. When you're older. But if you do prepare, practice, and plan, you can at least start. And one thing you can start, if you go to mint.com, you try 4 different banks. Set up. First, you'll have to use the piggy bank system because kids need that visual. They don't understand the computer. And spending bank, saving bank, investing bank, and giving bank. You deposit into those change, and they see that from day one. That's going to be instilled in them. So you changing your behavior and planning. If I was a family or going to be a dad and I found out my child was on the way, I'd set up those banks immediately. I'd buy the perfect piggy bank or doggy bank or whatever that store that money I could label. That is an investment worth your while. So let's look at I say 0 to 10%, 25% on luxury items at 10K plus 10% when you spend on luxury. Open an account. I give some examples of how to accumulate money. This is an example where you get 21,000. At birth you should have 16,000. And this maybe goes through some scenarios. Actually, what I was thinking is that somebody had a $50,000 wedding, $30,000 bonus. They bought a $10,000 engagement ring. Those numbers should add up to 16,000, and they do. Okay, so that's what I was thinking. And then a $5,000 bridal shower, baby shower. At birth, $16,000. Birthday party, $5,000. That, and I added that you would have accumulated with the birthday party tax, which would be around $650, and then you would have $5,000 more. You would have 21,000 at 2 years of age. Now, $21,000 at 2 years of age. How beneficial is that for you? I'm going to do the calculation real fast. I did not do it ahead of time. Then this will be the last item for today. You start off with $21,000. Your deposit will be, let's say you put 0. Interest rate, let's say 7%, because you will have to make some investment decisions. Years will be 18 years, actually be 16 before they're 18. If you were not to touch that money, you had 7% average on interest. Diversified, when a savings and some sort of investment, like a FDIC insured, which is the banks have FDIC insurance, and an investment account, which would be a little more risk, but could produce over that amount of time higher return. 7% interest rate, 16 years, $64,000. If you did nothing else but that. So your child has $64,000 at 18 years of age. That's better than 0. If you were to educate them, but there's going to be more. You're going to be adding to that after they turn 2. Understand, I am fully aware that life happens. Life does happen. You may have, your child may be sick. Someone in your family may be sick. You may not be able to have money for a period of time. But ensure that this child's money is protected at all costs. If you have to go without cable or a phone, that's the nicest one of your friends, so be it. When you decide to have a child, you decide to take on responsibility. And no, I do not have children. But anybody that knows me knows I have pets, and this is not a parody by any means. But I got a pet last year. I knew she had cancer. I had her treated. She was going to a rescue. I have taken her she has seizures. I took care of all that. And I dealt with a little bit less because of it. And in times when, taking away from her medical care or her care is not an option during the hard times. That money has to be used, because with starting your own business, you do have some trying times. And that's just not an option. She was taken care of. I knew that responsibility had to fall upon, it had to be done. If I had to starve myself so she could have surgery, then you're taking on responsibility you can't handle. So when you have a child, you're setting forth a series of events that what you do now impacts them later. I want our kids to have the tools to deal with what's coming. I want them to be able to succeed even when our nation's in decline. I saw my family do it in the 70s. When the nation was in decline, we were okay. Things were going crazy around us, we were okay. Because there was hope. And and having a financial, if you don't have the education, the book will help you guide your child and help you change your behavior. If you don't have, if you're like, I can't afford what you're saying, it's too much, I don't have the money, then you need to work with our nonprofit to let them help you and let them work with you. At least provide the education for your kids. And our nonprofit will be big on supporting programs, education programs, and supporting that children have access. At first, it will probably be in 3 states that we are able to do this. That'll be California, North Carolina, and actually 4, if you include Maryland, Virginia, and DC, in the district. But it will happen. If with the internet, you can contact us, and we will work with you. So, into this video today, I hope this gives you some insight of how the book will start off. This is a little plain on the slide presentation. I want to have the formal one on the 27th, when we will have a Google Hangout. And Sunday we will make the announcement when that's going to be. That's all for today. Thank you.